Yesterday we were talking about the Shindalids, the Mazikin, the demons. And we mentioned that there are Mazikin around. We just don't see them, because if we would see them, we wouldn't be able to stand. We'd be awed. We'd be afraid. And they stand around us like the ditch that's around a ugya, that's around the trees, the vines. And we mentioned that the pasuk says, "Yipol mitzidcha elef u'revava miminecha," that from your side 1,000 will fall, and 10,000 from your right side will fall. And that pasuk is telling you that they're standing right there, and we need to be saved from them. And through that Tehillim, we are knocking 1,000 off from the left side and 10,000 from your right side. That means that they are actually there. So, and then we said that when a person goes to shul, he feels, when you go to the shir, you feel a doichik, you feel pressure, and that's because the mazikin are all standing around. And then that's why your clothing wears out, and that's why you get your feet get banged up. You could have a bruise because of them banging into them. And the Gemara now, we're on the about 12 lines down from the top. Haiman de boy lamida luhu. We're on page 6, page Vav, side A, Vav Amud Aleph, page 6, side A. If a person wants lameda luhu, to know that they're there, laisi kitma nihila, he should bring ashes that are sifted, and v'nihadar apurye, and put it by his bed, ubetzafra, and in the morning chazi, he will see hikari de tarnagolta, like legs of a chicken, and that will show that they are actually walking around. Well, what that means is that it sounds like the mazikin have some type of a chicken size legs, and so if you put this ashes, you will be able to see their footprints. And Haiman de boy lamechazinu, if you want to see the demons, if anyone's ready for a good challenge and you want to actually see the demons, Lacey should bring Shulyasa de Shunrasa, the afterbirth of a female cat, Uchmasa bas Uchmasa, a black cat, the daughter of a black cat, Buchrasa bas Buchrasa, the firstborn, the daughter of a firstborn, Vilakalye benura, burn it in a fire, Vilashachke, and grind it, Vilimle eine mine, and fill one's eyes with it, V'chazi lahu, and you will be able to see the demons. Vilashadye begufta de parzla, and then throw the rest of it in a reed, in a gufsa de parzla, a reed size iron container, like a little container, v'lechasme begushpanka, and make sure to seal it with a seal, de parzla, of iron. And because otherwise, dilma ganvi mine, maybe the demons will steal it from him. V'lachtoim pume ki hechi delay litzak, he has to make sure that the cover of it is sealed, because otherwise, in order that he doesn't get damaged. Rav Bibi bar Abaye Yavid Hachi. Rav Bibi bar Abaye did this. Chaza, he saw the demons, v'itzak, and he became damaged. He became wounded. Bo Rabbanan Rachmei Alei. The rabbis asked Hashem for mercy on him, v'itzei, and he was healed. And so,
what's the purpose of the demons? What was their creation? Is this from Lilith?
is this from what?
From Lilith.
Oh. Well, it seems that it seems that there's the Zel Umazeh also Ha'elikim. Hashem made the world in a balance. There's powers of purity and powers of tumah, powers of impurity. And in order for the world to be balanced, there needed to be these powers of impurity to keep the world somewhat balanced. Now, there is a Gemara in Chagiga. The Gemara there, it says that there are 6 statements were said regarding demons. In 3 ways, they are like ministering angels, and in 3 ways, they are like humans. And the Gemara there says, how are they like ministering angels? Because they have wings like ministering angels. They fly from one end of the world to the other. And they know what will be in the future like ministering angels. And the Gemara says, what do you mean they know? It means they don't really know the future. It means they hear the future, because from behind the curtain where Hashem reveals the future, they hear that just like the ministering angels. And there are 3 things that they have like people, is that they eat and drink like people, they multiply like people, and they die like people. So just to give you a little, a little more information about the demons, that's a Gemara in Chagiga. But anyway, this is what our Gemara tells us. And I'm not sure we got into this because Abba Binyamin was telling us other laws about davening. And then he started telling us things about the mazikin, which also have to do with the learning and the davening, because he mentioned that you will find that, they are surrounding us and they cause certain things to happen. Our clothing, our feet, if we find some a wound, it might be from them. We rub, our clothing gets rubbed out from them, and so on. And I guess what the Gemara is also telling us is that when we daven the prayer of Pigoyim, the prayer, the Tehillim against the demons, we can actually feel that it's real. We can actually relate to it. And so the Gemara is telling us that it's this is not just figurative. It's they actually are demons around. Yes.
If I just may ask a little more about this. So I thought mazikin were created more by our actions than come from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Is that both, or do you know?
It's beyond my field. Maybe we could look into it, but I'm not. Maybe people here are more familiar with demons. I don't know.
Have you heard that we can, our actions may create mazikin?
Well, there is a concept that we create angels, and we create, advocating angels, and we can create prosecuting angels. But I don't know that that's the same idea as the mazikin. Prosecuting angels are angels. Here we're talking about mazikin. This is, as far as I know, that's a different. This is a different department.
Okay, and I guess so. We're supposed to take the Gemara literally about how to see them.
Well, I don't advise anyone to try this.
Okay.
But if you do try it, I would like you to tell me how it worked out.
Fair
Definitely
enough.
encourage it. I think it might be quite dangerous. There are numerous spooky houses and places that the demons hang out. That's also probably an option for someone to like pop into some of these
Okay.
spooky places.
I
But
just thought maybe maybe the commentaries talk about this procedure in a more or in a less literal way, but that may be beyond the scope.
yeah, I'm not familiar with the with much discussion. I don't know if the Steinsaltz Gemara says anything or the Art Scroll. I don't know if anyone saw anything about the demons. It's not, it's not really part of the general study of the yeshiva system. It's more Kabbalistic type of stuff.
No problem. I was just wondering. Thank you.
Okay, so now we're up to the next piece of Gemara. Now we get back to more, I guess, more of the general laws. Tanya Abba Binyamin Omer. We learned in a brisa, Abba Binyamin said, "Ein tefillah shel adam nishmas ela bebeis hakneses." The prayer of a person is only heard in a shul. Shenamar, as it says, l'shmoya la-rina v'la-tefillah, to hear the rina and the tefillah and the songs and the prayers. B'makom rina sham tehei tefillah. A place where there's songs, that's where there is supposed to be prayer. Rashi here says, rina, what is rina? It's in the Beis HaKnesses. There, the community says shirois and tishbachos, praises, songs and praises, b'neimas koil orev, with a pleasant, sweet voice. I'm not sure if that means that it was always traditional in shul to sing. I wonder if that's if that's the message here. That, in other words, I once was speaking to a individual who was telling me that he goes to a very Litvische shul, and we don't sing at all. We don't sing. We only daven. There's absolutely no songs in our shul, and he was very proud of it. So I didn't say anything. I just was thinking about it, that maybe they're missing the point. I don't know. Was that the traditional shul that they think when, I mean, the truth is in Germany, which I guess would be the main, Ashkenazic stronghold, they started all the nigunim of Shabbos, the Zmiris of Shabbos were mainly in there. I don't know, I wonder, anyway, here Rashi seems to say that that's the main thing of the shul is the song, that's the place of song. And that the Gemara says the word rina, I think means song. So b'makam rina sham tehei tefillah, in the place of song, that's where you should have the tefillah. So it seems like that's a big part of the davening is the actual song during davening. At least that's what it seems like here. Now,
do we sing to emulate the chorus of Malachim when they praise Hashem?
That's a very interesting thought. In other words, song should be part of it because we see that's what Hashem enjoys from the angels, and it would make sense that would be the proper way of shirois v'tishbachos. I mean, we clearly talk about songs for Hashem. So it would seem like it's not necessarily we're emulating the angels, but we are following the same same way of thinking, at least the same, at least seeing that that's what Hashem enjoys, or at least from Sukkim we see it, that that's what Hashem enjoys. The Shmoyel Arina Tefillah.
And Tehillim, David wrote Tehillim to be sung, right? To music.
Right. I mean, it's definitely numerous places in Tehillim. It uses the term shir, and it would seem, I mean, David HaMelech would say he was a great, he would play music, and so in any event, that's it seems that's the main that's a major part of the davening. Now, the Gemara here is saying that the tefillah of a person is only heard in a shul, and one of the commentaries mentions that this refers to even if a person doesn't have a minyan, even without a minyan, you should still daven in shul if possible. I should pull that up in Sefaria. Let me just pull this up here. Sefaria, chapter 90 in the Shulchan Aruch here. Shulchan Aruch, chapter Arachayim, chapter 90. Chapter 90, halacha 9. It says a person should make sure to daven in a Beis HaKnesses with a minyan. If he's not able to come, he should have in mind to daven the same time that the shul davens. And the same thing applies people who live in a yishuv that don't have a minyan. They should daven shachris and arvis in the time that the community davens. And also, if a person is not able to, at the time that they daven, he's davening alone, nevertheless, he should daven in a Beis HaKnesses. He should daven in a shul. So that's a law in Shulchan Aruch. That's the way the Shulchan Aruch understands this Gemara, is that you should daven in the shul even if you missed the minyan. That's what it says. Okay, so let's continue. So that's right in Shulchan Aruch. We're going to continue. We are Amar Ravin. We are about maybe 25 lines from the top. Amar Ravin bar Rav Ada Amar Rav Yitzchak Meinayin Shakadosh Baruch Hu Motzai Bebeis HaKnesses. How do we know that Hashem is found in the shul? Shenemar, as it says, Alakim Nitzov Ba'adas Kel. Hashem stands in a community, Ba'adas Kel, in a place of gathering, in his place of gathering, the place of gathering of Hashem, Hashem stands. And so we see that Hashem is found in a shul. Uminayin la'asor Hashem espalin. How do you know that when 10 people daven, sheshchina imahem, that the Shechina is with them? Shenemar, as it says, Alakim Nitzov Ba'adas Kel. Hashem is standing when there is a group of people, which the Gemara understands to mean that they're davening. So when people are davening, in other words, we're in Ada, and Adas Kel, there is Elokim Nitzav, Hashem is standing there. So the Shechina is there when there's 10. And what this shows, of course, is that there's a special thing of having a minyan. Because when you have a minyan, first of all, Hashem is found in general in the shul. And also, the Hashem is found when you have a minyan. Now, how do you know 3 people that are sitting in judgment? How do you know 3 that are sitting bedin? They're sitting in judgment. Sheshchina imahem, that the Shechina is with them.
Living in Connecticut.
Yeah.
What's up? I'm going to Starbucks, then we're going to go to the sprinkler park. Ready, Mommy.
Done speaking. I think they don't have service anymore.
Okay.
Okay.
So, one second. Okay, not sure why we kept getting that noise. Now, how do we know that shloisha sheyeshvim b'din sheshchina imahem, that the Shechina is with them? Shenamar, as it says, so the three people, three judges sitting in judgment. How do you know the Shechina is with the Shenamar? Because it says, "B'karav Elokim mishpait," amongst Elokim or amongst judges, Yishpait Hashem judges. I wonder if that's the translation, because I think they're translating Elokim to mean Bezdin. Rashi says, "Ein Bezdin kruyim Elokim ela b'shloisha." So if Bezdin is, if this is talking about Bezdin, that means that the Elokim here refers to Bezdin, and Bekerev Elokim together with Elokim.
Can I hear it on this?
Okay. Yes, he shall judge. Okay, and then the Gemara continues, and it says, "Minayin lishnayim she'eshim b'eiskim b'Torah." Two people are studying Torah. Sheshchina yimayim. How do you know the Shechina is with them? Shneimar, as it says, "Az nidberu yiri Hashem ishel reyehu." The fearers of Hashem will speak one to their friend. Vayakshiv Hashem, and Hashem will listen. V'gomer, etc. Now, so we see that Ishel Reyehu, one to his friend, meaning there's two people studying, and says Hashem listens. So you see the Shechina is with them. So the end of that pasuk says, Shemai, those that think about his name. What does that refer to? Amar Rav Ashi. Rav Ashi says that means afilu chishav adam lasis mitzvah b'nanas. If a person planned on doing a mitzvah, but then nanas, oinus happened that he couldn't do the mitzvah, and he didn't do it. The Torah considers it as if he did do it. So that's shemai, that even someone who thinks about doing something for Hashem's name, it's as if he did it. How do you know one person who's sitting and Isaac and Torah that the Shechina is with him? As it says, every place that I will have my name mentioned, I will go there, I will go to you and bless you. So what we see here is that one person can learn Torah and the Shechina is with him. It's interesting that it uses the term wherever I mention my name, that Hashem's name is being mentioned. That is how the Gemara understands referring to learning Torah. So I think that really emphasizes two things. Number one is that we know the whole Torah is the name of Hashem. And that's why it can be called wherever I mention my name, because there are Gemaras that say such a concept that the Shmaisav Shal HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the whole Torah is like the name of Hashem. But I think it also emphasizes another point, and that is that when we're learning Torah, we're supposed to be thinking that this is Hashem. It's not just an intellectual stimulation that many people enjoy, but this is mentioning Hashem. We are learning Hashem's wisdom with purity, and so this is what real learning Torah is. Azkir Shemi is when we mention Hashem's name, when we think about Hashem. It is interesting that this is also a little hint to the fact that when you learn Torah, you should be allowed to mention Hashem's name while you're learning. A lot of people are very careful to only say Hashem and and to not say the, a whole pasuk. But here, from this, it would seem, wherever you mention my name, it sounds like you're talking about, you could say Hashem's name when you're in the midst of your learning, when you're saying psukim that have Hashem's name, would seem that should be allowed. Another interesting thing over here is it mentions that when you think of doing a mitzvah and something happens, accident happens and you can't do it, Hashem considers it as if you did it. So there are two areas where it seems that we don't always say this, and that is, one of them is when it comes to a mitzvah bein adam lachaveroi, when it comes to a mitzvah between man and his fellow man, there's discussion that the main thing by a mitzvah bein adam lachaveroi, possibly the main part of the mitzvah is that you accomplish the goal that the other person benefits from it. So you wanted to do it and you didn't actually accomplish allowing that person to benefit. So therefore, it's possible that when such a mitzvah, we don't consider it as if you did it. We consider it as if you did it regarding a mitzvah bein adam lamokim, between man and Hashem. But when it comes to bein adam lachaveroi, where the ikar, the main thing, is the actual outcome that you accomplished, visiting the sick or consoling the mourner, or whatever the mitzvah is between man and his fellow man, if you didn't actually do you didn't actually accomplish the plan, so then possibly this doesn't apply. At least there's discussion about this among the commentaries. Does it apply there? There is another area where we find that the main thing is the outcome, and that is with regard to Persume Nisa, when it comes to revealing the nace of like Hanukkah and Purim. And for those mitzvahs, it says like for Hanukkah candles, you're supposed to sell even the clothing off your back. Why is it such an important mitzvah? So the thing is that the mitzvah of Persume Nisa, you need to accomplish the actual, it needs to be, in other words, the main thing is the revealing the miracle. And because that's the most important part of it, that the Torah, the rabbis obligated you to go to very extremes in order to make sure that you accomplish this goal. So in such a case as well, it would seem that because it's Persume Nisa, the goal is to actually get the publicity that you need. So if you don't accomplish the publicity just because you wanted to when you tried, maybe not necessarily does Hashem consider it as if you did it, because the ikar is the Persume Nisa maybe. So here you see these two areas where the outcome is a very important point. In other words, there's really two parts to every mitzvah. Number one is your reward, and number two is accomplishing the goal. And here, these mitzvahs, bein adam lachaveroi, generally we look at the outcome is the main aspect. In any event, that is the previous Gemara, and here we just did this Gemara about.
Rabbi Smith,
Yes.
is that why Abraham and Yitzhak get credit for the Takeda, even though it wasn't fully carried out as originally, I wouldn't say intended, but as originally thought?
So there's two parts to the Akeda. There is the element in the Akeda that was accomplished, and that is that Abraham showed that he was willing to sacrifice his son, and Yitzchak was willing to be sacrificed. That part of the Akeda was fulfilled. They did that. They actually were willing to bring, and that we take advantage of the fact that they were willing to sacrifice. He was willing to sacrifice his own son, and that was accomplished. Now, what wasn't accomplished was actually burning his son on the altar and actually having ashes. But on that, we find that we do consider that it was done. And that's why it says that Yitzchak's ashes are actually before Hashem by his throne. Mitachas kisei hakavod, under Hashem's kisei hakavod, under Hashem's throne, his ashes are tzavor v'oimed lefanai. They're gathered together. they're standing there always. Now, those ashes is what you're referring to, because those ashes never really happened. And because Yitzchak was not actually slaughtered and burned, but we consider it as if his ashes are there, even though, and on that you're right, we're considering it as if his ashes are there. There is another pshat that when we talk about the ashes are there in front of Hashem, one of the commentaries explains that it means the ashes of the ram that was slaughtered. And that's what Hashem has, mitachas kisei hakavod. But that's one explanation. The other explanation is that it's referring to Isaac's ashes are there before Hashem, and that is similar, right? And that's a very good point. That's just like our Gemara is saying that Hashem considers it as if it's done, and Hashem somehow has this imaginary ashes. These are the ashes that Yitzchak wanted, that Abraham was going to burn, and these are them. So it's considered as if it's there, and Hashem actually is watching, looks at them, and enjoys seeing those ashes. So that's the connection, yes, with the Akedah. Yes, Mel.
I understood that that he did shecht, that his neshama did leave him, according to what I heard. True?
Well, there are Kabbalistic interpretations. I wasn't gonna go that path, because it's not the common. It's definitely not the common way of learning. Learning.
But I did learn. I don't know if someone told me that was the case. Maybe in a Devar Torah or whatever, that his neshama left him for a second, and of course Hashem brought him back. Because he was willing to sacrifice, went willingly with no question.
So how, that is a very interesting interpretation, and it has been said. It's an interesting. Well, according to that, it doesn't flow with the Chumash really, because the Chumash implies pretty clearly that Avraham did not actually slaughter his son. According to that interpretation, he didn't listen to the angel. The angel said stop, and Avraham actually slaughtered him anyway, because who is an angel to stop what Hashem says, right? But the thing is, it definitely doesn't fit with the simple reading of it, because the simple reading is that the angel said stop and he stopped. So there, it's nice, very nice that you brought that up, but it's definitely not the common understanding of the story. And I don't know also if the source, I would like to look into the source. I know it's based on some Zohar, but I don't know if that's the only way to read that Zohar either. Okay, so we're going to continue here. So we said that even if one person is Isaac and Torah, so it says that the Shechina is with him. Shechina imay, the Shechina is with him. So the Gemara asks, if even one person learns Torah, the Shechina is with him. Do you need two people to learn? Why do you need the Gemara to tell you that when two people learn Torah, that the Shechina is with them? Isn't that obvious? So the Gemara answers, Trey, two people, Michtavan milayhu b'sefer hazachronos. Their words are written in the Sefer hazachronos, in the book of remembrances. Chad, one person learns Torah, loy michtavan milay b'sefer hazachronos. His words are not written in the Sefer hazachronos. And Tosfos over here tells us that there's two books. There's the book that each person has individually, and that book, his words are written down. But in the communal book, that book, if you learn by yourself, doesn't get written in the communal book. When you learn with two people, then it gets written in the communal book. So Taisvis is bothered basically with the contradiction. Taisvis says in Pirkei Avos, it says, "Chol ma'asecha nichtavim b'sefer nichtavim." All your deeds are written in a book. Taisvis is wondering, what do you mean? Our Gemara here says that when you learn yourself, it's not written down. But the Pirkei Avos, it says all your actions are written down in a book. So Taisvis answers, yes, there's two books. There's the book where your own personal book where your actions are written down. But then you have the general history of mankind type of book or something, that Hashem has for all Klal Yisrael. In that book, you only get written down if it's with a chavrusa.
So why do we need 3 people for a mezuman? Why not just 2?
You're asking based on this Gemara that 2 people bring the Shechina, so maybe 2 people should be good enough for a mezuman also.
Yes.
So we're going to wait for the 7th parak for the laws of Zimun, and it's based on Psukim. So maybe we'll wait for there. But here we're talking about the actual learning Torah and possibly davening, and so the Gemara is going through the different stages, different numbers, and how it which ones accomplish what. So the Gemara says that. So we just said Taisvis. There is a Maharsha that says explains this Gemara a little differently than Taisvis. He says that when you learn Torah with someone else, so each one is mechaded his friend. Each one sharpens his friend's mind, and you end up coming to the truth. You end up meriting the emes, and therefore, when you learn with someone else, so your teaching is written down. But if you learn yourself, you don't always come to the final, the crux of the matter. You don't always come to the depth of the matter, and therefore, it's not written down. The Gemara continues here, and it says, if 2 people bring the Shechina, so what do you need 3 for? So the Gemara says, Mahu de tema dina shlama ba'almahu. I would think when you have a din, a bezdin, that's just about making peace between people. And v'loi asya and Shechina, I would think the Shechina doesn't come because it's not really Torah. It's more making peace. Kamash malan de dina nami hainu Torah comes and lets us hear that dina is Torah, is also Torah. Now, if you have 3 people that the Shechina is there, what do you need 10? So the Gemara says, there's 10 a question. The Gemara says, Asara kadma Shechina v'yasya. With 10, the Shechina comes before and continues. Tlasa ad yasvi. But by 3, it's the Shechina doesn't come until they sit down, and as it says, Rashi brings it says Yishpait, at the time of the judgment, while they're judging, that's when the Shechina comes. But by 10, the Shechina comes even before, and the Shechina comes even before the 10 people arrive. So that's the idea of being able to merit the Shechina. This is the inyan of having the Shechina come and be with you while you're learning Torah. Amar Reb Avin bar Rav Ada, Amar Reb Yitzchak. Reb Avin bar Rav Ada says in the name of Reb Yitzchak, Minayin shakadosh baruch hu meniach tefillin. How do we know that Hashem puts on tefillin? Shenemar, as it says, what does it say? Nishba Hashem biyaminai, Hashem swears in his right hand, v'zroya uzai, and his arm of strength. Biyaminai zu Torah. With his right arm is Torah. Shenemar miyaminai eish das lamai. From his right arm is the fiery of religion. Ubizroya uzoy elu tefillin. And Bizroya uzoy, his arm of strength, that is the tefillin shenemar Hashem oiz la'amoy yitain. Hashem gives strength to his nation, and that refers to tefillin. And how do we know shat tefillin oiz him? How do we know tefillin is strength? Li Yisrael, to the Yidden, the Chsiv, because it says v'ro'u kol amei haaretz ki shem Hashem nikra alecha v'yoru mimeka. The nations of the world will see that the name of Hashem is called upon you, and they will fear you. V'yoru mimeka. V'tanya, and we learned in a brisa, Rabbi Eliezer Agadol says, Elu tefillin sheberosh, these are the tefillin of the head, which means that Hashem gives us strength, and the strength that Hashem gives us is the tefillin, because it says that Hashem's name is on us and the nations will be afraid of us. So therefore the Gemara understands that to mean oiz. And if it's bezroya uzai, it means if Hashem also uses this term oiz, it means Hashem also puts on tefillin. Now, what does this mean? That the nations of the world will see and they will be afraid. So one of the things that the Lubavitcher Rebbe initiated was that people should try to put tefillin on during the wars, especially during the wars when the Israeli army was fighting against the Arab nations. So the Rebbe initiated this tefillin campaign. We should get all the soldiers to put tefillin on, because the tefillin causes there to be fear among the nations of the world. And of course, there were great miracles that the Eretz Yisrael had with all their wars. Every single war, they had tremendous, tremendous miracles. And the idea of tefillin bringing these great miracles is right here in this Gemara, that the tefillin brings awe and fear among the nations of the world. And not only for that benefit should people put tefillin on, but of course it's a fringe, it's an extra benefit, and a great thing. Brings safety to Klal Yisrael in general, and especially during wars, but it's in general, in addition to the mitzvah of putting tefillin on, of course, which should be in its own right, but there's also great fringe benefits of bringing fear to the nations of the world will be afraid of us. There's also an interesting story where someone had some Rosh Yeshiva there were some goyim starting up. So all of a sudden, this Rav or Rosh Yeshiva, he lifted up his talus, and the goyim saw his head tefillin, and they ran away. And so the student said, "How did you do this?" He says, "What's the big deal?" It says clearly that the nations of the world will see Vero Kalami Aretz, that Hashem's name is on you, and they'll be afraid. So they told their Rosh Yeshiva, they said, "What about us? We were also wearing our tefillin. He didn't run away from us." So he said, because here it says Elu tefillin sheberosh. It's not just the head tefillin that causes it. It's got to be tefillin in the head, tefillin of the head. It's not on the head. It doesn't say tefillin she'ala rosh. It's got to be, you got to be thinking about the tefillin. You can't just put the tefillin there. It should be in your mind. And that's the idea of not to be mesiach das. Tefillin has a special mitzvah that we're not allowed to move our thoughts away from the tefillin. The tefillin should be on our thoughts, and that brings the special benefit of the tefillin, that it causes fear among the nations. So having the tefillin in our thoughts and thinking of that especially has power. Yes, then.